the incredible true story of a man who battled the odds and survived.
The patient has been called the Elephant Man.
TNT's Our Favorite Movie, The Elephant Man, hosted by the director of the award-winning film, David Lynch.
Suddenly, when we were shooting, it all, came together.
Ladies and gentlemen, the terrible Elephant Man.
You can't judge a book by its cover is a lesson that everybody, at least on the surface, says they understand.
Can you imagine the kind of life you must have had?
Yes, I think I can.
I don't believe so. No one could possibly imagine it. I don't believe any of us can.
In the case of the Elephant Man, it was such an extreme case. This was like such a beautiful soul trapped in this, horrible body. And that's what the whole thing is about.
Under no circumstances whatsoever are any mirrors to be brought into this room.
In a horror film, you would purposely keep people from seeing the monster until a certain point. You'd build it and build it and build it, and then when you saw it, it was just that much more terrifying. And that had to happen a little bit in order to get the real feeling of what it must have been like for him.
Look, my friend. Look. And who needs it more than we?
Every story of the Elephant Man comes from one chapter in Dr. Treves' book.
My name is Frederick Treves, and I'm a surgeon here at the London Hospital.
He helped, the Elephant Man so much, and he's still worried about his motives.
Am I a good man? Or am I a bad man?
There's a scene where Tony Hopkins first he goes to this little shop and he sees the Elephant Man. It was a move, and we were, pushing in on his face the whole time he's watching. And it pushes in and pushes in and pushes in, and then the camera stopped. And the second the camera stopped, a tear came out of Tony Hopkins' eye. And so we did this thing in one take, and it was perfect. I liked John Hurt. He locked into the character so strongly that he just couldn't make a mistake.
How do you find Mr. Treves? As a teacher, I mean.
It took like 6 hours to get him, made up. And during those 6 hours, he felt himself not like a normal actor would feel himself change, but he felt something, a little bit more than that. And he said he literally, became this person. He never made one false move in his performance. It was staggeringly good.
Why didn't you tell me you could read?
I was afraid to talk. Please forgive me.
It had to be in black and white. Black and white is a magical thing. It removes you instantly one step from reality, and it also lets you drift back in time. So many photographs are black and white from the past, and you just feel it more. It has a purity to it. It just had to be, that way.
Sure.
No.
This is a very important film for me. It took me out of a surreal obscurity and put me in the mainstream. The picture got 8 Academy Award nominations, didn't win anything. It, affected people deeply, and I'm really proud of the work that everybody and I did together.
And now, one of our favorite movies, The Elephant Man.
Well, see, they believed, in kind of a strange thing that, for instance, if your mother set a strawberry on her stomach when she was pregnant, that you could have a strawberry, birthmark or something. And they believed in maternal impressions or something like that it was called. And so in the Elephant Man's carnival buildup, the bit was that he was, his mother was knocked down by a wild elephant, and the result is plain to see, or something like this, and when she was pregnant. And since this was the kind of myth that he had to live with, these abstractions at the beginning are all this, and it's his beginning, his birth, and his first bit of life, all happens abstract at the beginning. Anne Bancroft, Mel's wife, got the script and read it, and told Mel he had to read it. And when Mel Brooks read it, he loved it so much that he said that this is the film that I want my new company, Brooks Films, to produce. Jonathan came to me and said, Mel has to see Eraserhead. And I said, I'm out. There's no way that this is ever going to work out. So we went to 20th Century Fox, where Mel's office was, and he organized a screening, and I paced out in front the whole time. And at the end of the screening, Jonathan came out. I couldn't get a read on Jonathan, and then the doors flew open, and there was Mel Brooks kind of racing toward me with his arms outstretched, and he embraced me and said, I love you, you're a madman, you're in. Sir John Gielgud, I always say, is the cleanest man I've ever met in my life. And he smokes cigarettes, but he never has an ash on his clothing. His clothing it doesn't have dust on it. And there's no like lint or dust. And when he smokes a cigarette, he holds it back and away. And the smoke kind of goes always away from him. He was extremely dignified, but very friendly and agreeable. And if you wanted him to adjust anything, all you had to do was go up and say, Sir John, this line here, this, and he says, I got it. And the next time he says it, it's exactly, the change that you requested, and it's flawless, and away you go. And he was great to work with. The Elephant Man, when he died, his body was cast in plaster. A man named Mr. Nunn was in charge of those items when I first showed up in England, and I got to know Mr. Nunn really well. And Mr. Nunn literally loved the Elephant Man, and he cared for all these things in this little glass case. And very few people, though, knew about it. He would just talk for hours about the Elephant Man, and he eventually let the torso out of the museum, and Chris Tucker, the guy who did the makeup, had that to fashion, all the makeup, so it was extremely authentic. And one day we invited Mr. Nunn down to the set, and we purposely kept him away from John Hurt in makeup until he was completely ready. And Mr. Nunn was there, and these doors opened, and in came John Hurt, and Mr. Nunn, burst into tears. He just couldn't handle it. It was too powerful for him. I started going to locations, and one day we went to there was a lot of hospitals in London that had been shut down for years, and so we got to go into some of those. And this one hospital still had beds in it, had beautiful wards and beautiful halls, and all this gas lights still were there. And walking around in that place, the feeling of the past just came over me, and I got a feel of it, and from then on I knew exactly what it was. So many things came into me from that one place. I think her name was Gilda, and Gilda, I may have been in her 60s or at least 50s, and she was about 3 feet tall, and the sweetest, and you just hear her voice, and you want to put her in your pocket and keep her forever. And all these people that were, in the film, in that scene, were, very tender people. They all had so much humility and tenderness. It was pretty amazing, and it was like you could feel that it would be something that they would definitely do, help someone, in trouble. Well, that makeup was very, very light, but it doesn't breathe so well. It's like being inside of something, like a diving mask, sort of. But John Hurt wasn't, able to eat anything. He had to drink through a straw, and he was in the makeup for a long, long time. And, a couple things always needed, little touch-ups for, sweating and things like that, because it doesn't breathe. John Hurt, gave himself over to it and never once complained. In between shots, when things were, lighting was going on, he could lay down on like an ironing board on an angle. He couldn't really sit because things would get all goofed up. And so he could kind of just lean back and relax and have a straw in his drink. And one day I was laying on the couch, and on the radio I heard Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings, and the whole end of the film played out in my head with this music, and it turned out to be Andre Previn's version, and it just goes to show that with the same piece of music, it's the interpretation, the speed of it, and some sort of emotion, phrasing, timing, everything. It was so right when Andre Previn did it, for me, that it was amazing. I don't think John Morris, really, he wanted to do that piece of music himself, and I feel bad, but we all agreed, Mel included, that this piece of music was the best, for that final scene.